Welcome back to week 2 of the Songs of the Season Crochet Along with Busy Crochet. We are working on the blanket today. The colors I'm going to be using are I Love This Yarn in red and brown and white today. We are going to be working on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer section, and there's going to be several color changes in this. So get everybody ready and pulled out, and let's get started here. All right, we are starting with round 15, and we are starting with the right side facing us, so you should have the bobbles where you can feel them. And according to the instructions, we are going to be working in the front loop only, and we're starting in the second stitch of a corner. So it doesn't matter what corner you start on, the second stitch is going to be the one on the left. So go ahead and take that marker out real quick and just insert into the front loop only. Go ahead and grab your red and do a chain 1 or a slip stitch through there. I always do a chain 1, and then somehow I split my yarn, and a single crochet in that exact same spot. Now this is going to be going all the way around this row. We are not going to be skipping any stitches, and we're not going to be increasing or doing anything special to any of the stitches. Now I want you to put your marker back into this one because it's going to matter. All right, so mark that stitch because that is one of our corner stitches. Now, what we're doing is we are going to be putting this same ruffle border. So you're going to do that single crochet, chain 3, skip this one, and in the front loop only, single crochet. Chain 3, skip, front loop only, single. All right, I think you're going to understand this one because you've done it before. So go ahead and finish this round. Now, as far as your stitch markers on the corners are concerned, just move the one like we did here, because in the corner, one of these guys is going to be skipped and one is going to be worked in. Whichever one is worked in, move the stitch to that new, the marker to the new stitch. Leave the marker in the old stitch for the one that you skip over, okay? Don't worry about moving that one at this time. We will deal with that on the next round. All right, so I want you just to go ahead and continue completing this all the way around. When you get to this one, you're going to slip stitch to that first single crochet. All right, I've reached the end of round 15, and I have slip stitched almost completely to the first stitch. I'm just going to pull that through. All right, we're going to chain 1. We're not going to cut this color. Chain 1 and turn. We're going to be working in the open loops from round 14. So we're going to be working in the open stitches as well as the back loop only, which in this case is going to be the front loop. So go ahead and double crochet into the back loop only of the join stitch. So right here is the stitch you want, double crochet into that one. All right, we're going to remove this and double into both of the loops and go ahead and put that stitch marker back. Now what I want you to do is move the stitch marker from the single crochet on the other row and put it into the double crochet that you created right there, because that's going to mark that stitch. And then I want you to double crochet into each of the single crochets going all the way around. You should have 132. We're not increasing on this row. Again, we'll be worrying about that on the next one, but just make sure you've got 132 stitches going around. So double crochet into each of the remaining loops of round 14, keeping all of your work to the front side of the frill here. Make sure that that stays to the back side of your work. All right, And then just keep moving the stitch markers to the appropriate stitches as you get to them. Like this one, when you make the double crochet into that loop right there, you're going to move that stitch marker onto that stitch. All right, I'm going to see you over here. We will slip stitch with the first double crochet when we get here, and then we will be changing our colors. All right, we are going to be moving on from round 16. You should be slip stitching to the first stitch, but since I'm going to be changing colors before I slip stitch, I'm actually going to, no, let's go ahead and slip stitch. I was wrong. Okay, and just pull that through. All right, so with the right side facing, so turn it around. With the right side facing, join with a chain 3 in the double crochet to the right of the first double crochet of round 15. So the first double crochet of round 15 was this guy right here. We are going to join in the double crochet to the right of the first double crochet. All right, I went ahead and I removed my stitch markers from this spot, and I'm going to start with my white. I am in the stitch, this is the first stitch of this round, so the stitch to the right of that is this one right here. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and put 2 double crochets into that same stitch. Now, without skipping anything, go right into the next double crochet and do 3 double crochets in there. All right, now we're going to chain 2 and we're going to skip 1. So make sure that if you need to, look at the other side to make sure which is the next stitch, so because this is that join, so we want to make sure that we're skipping this one. We're skipping a stitch and then we're going into the next one. So I'm just kind of marking my stitches as I turn it back over. All right, this is the one I'm skipping, this is the one I'm working in. I've yarned over twice, and I'm going to go into the one that I have to start working in. And we're going to start with what's called a treble crochet X stitch. Sorry, my mind blanked for just a second there. And let me start that over. I did tell you to chain 2 here, right? All right, so skip this one, and then we're going to start working in this one. So go in, yarn over and pull up, pull through 2 on your loop, on your hook. Yarn over, skip this one, and go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Now this one, you're going to yarn through and go through 2 loops, a total of 4 times. Chain 1, and then in this little space right here, we're going to put a double crochet. That should create an X look. Now we're going to do that a total of 6 times going all the way across. We won't be skipping any more stitches between the actual treble crochet X stitches, just that first one here, and then probably one at the end by the corner as well. But the X stitches should be right next to each other. So in the next one, skip, and then pull through 4 times. Chain 1 and double crochet in the center. Yarn over twice, into the next, yarn over, skip the next, into the next. So this happens over a total of 3 stitches. And you should always be using 3 stitches for each one of these. Skip into the next. Through 2 4 times. See, as you get used to this stitch, it gets very, very simple to do, and you'll be whipping through here. We'll be making this same stitch in 1 more row, so you'll have the chance to not only practice it on this round quite a bit, but also in another round, because we'll have 2 little rounds of reindeer. So 1 2 3 4 5, and 1 more time. Okay, and now we are going to Do the same thing that we did on this end. We are going to chain 2, we're going to skip 1, and we're going to put 3 double crochet into the next 2 stitches. Now, I'm not putting my stitch markers back in just yet because our corners are going to be pretty undeniable for a couple of rounds here. I'll tell you when to put them back in, but right now you can see that that's your corner and this is your straight piece. Okay, so once again, chain 2, skip 1 stitch, do 6 of the treble crochet X stitches across right next to each other, no spaces in between the stitches other than the one that you do in the center of the stitch. And then once you get over here, you'll skip 1 and do your corner again. All right, continue that all the way around. I'll meet you back up over here and we'll get started on round 18. We are going to be changing colors again, so get your brown ready for that. And I'll see you in the next round. Okay, round 17 has been completed. I slip stitched to the first chain 3, which we're counting as a double crochet. I'm going to turn my work. Round 18 is being worked on the wrong side of your work, and I'm going to just pull that to the back side. Now we're going to join, let's see, it says wrong side facing in brown, join with chain 3 in the chain 1 space of the first treble crochet X to the left of the corner. All right, so this is our corner. We're going to start in this stitch here. This is the chain 1 of the treble crochet X to the left of the corner. So we're going to pull this up and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to do the beginning cluster, or 3 double crochet cluster. So you're going to keep that and we're going to yarn over, pull up 1, go through 2, and yarn over, pull up 1, go through 2 one more time. And we're going to go through the last 3 that are on our hook. We're going to chain 2 loosely, don't do this tightly. And then we're going to do a 3 double crochet cluster into the next chain 1 space. So yarn over, pull up and go through 2, and do that a total of 3 times. So the only difference between the beginning cluster and the 3 double crochet cluster is that you're going to do a chain 3 to start the beginning, and the 3 double crochet cluster is going to be going through the 2 loops 3 times, so that you end up with 4 loops on your hook. Chain 2, do that again through 2 and 2 and 2, all 4, chain 2. Okay, we're going to do that chain 2, 3 double crochet cluster. I keep messing that up, don't I? A total of 5 times, basically just till we hit the last treble crochet X stitch over here. So this is the 4th and this is the 5th. Alrighty. Now we're going to chain 2, and we're going to put a 3 double crochet cluster in the center double crochet of this 3 double crochet grouping here. So skip this guy, put a cluster into this center double crochet, chain 2, put a 3 double crochet cluster in between these 2 groups of 3 double crochet. So there's no chain or anything in here, just go in between the stitches and put another cluster. and chain 2, and then skip this double crochet and go into the center of that 3 double crochet grouping there. All right, and we're going to chain 2 because we're going to be continuing on after that, but that's your new corner. I would still go ahead and leave your stitch markers out just because we're going to continue to be working and increasing these corners. Like I said, I'll let you know when to put them back in so that you're marking your stitches appropriately. And on the back side, this is, or I'm sorry, the front side, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be a little bit lumpy for the 3 double crochet cluster. That's okay. We're making little reindeer faces right now. And so moving on, we're just going to continue to repeat that same thing around. So the reason I say not to get real snug with your chain 2s is because you can kind of see how mine are pulling a little bit. I'm going to need to loosen up. Otherwise, I'm going to end up pulling my circle in way too tightly. So you want to be able to get some stretch in there, and your chains need to have stretch to them because these corners are slightly tight. They're not going to be real loose. So you just don't want to get too tight with your chains in between your stitches. Otherwise, it's all just going to squinch right up. All right, so go ahead and continue to put a cluster into each of the treble crochet X stitches. When you get to your corners, do one in the center of this 3 double crochet grouping, in between the 2 groupings, and in the center stitch of this grouping as well. Alrighty, go ahead and continue that around, and you will join with, because we're going to finish with a corner, so you'll join with a slip stitch to the top of your cluster on this side, not into the chain 3. Even though that counts as a double crochet, you want to go into the top of the cluster instead of the chain 3 itself. Alrighty, so I will see you when we get over here, and we will continue with the next round, which is going to be red again. So we'll be changing colors again. All right, I am ready to move on to round 19. It says to join with a chain 1 in the join space of round 18, which is this cluster right here. Go ahead and single in that cluster. Our instructions say to single in the cluster and 2 single crochet in the chain 2 space to do that twice. So we're going to do single in here, 2 in here, and then do that again. Single into the cluster and 2 in this chain 2 space. Now the instructions say to 3 single crochet into the next cluster. This is our corner, 1, 2, and 3. You can put a stitch marker in there if you want to. You don't have to. We're still going to be working around and changing things up, but if it just helps you, you can go ahead and mark that. I'm going to leave that in there for now. Then the instructions say to 2 single crochet into the chain 2 space and single crochet into the next cluster 8 times. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chain 2s and into the next cluster. All right. So let's do that. I'll meet you, actually, I'll come back and I'll meet you over here at this corner. All right, I've completed from the corner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That brings us right over to the next corner. So we're just going to keep repeating this throughout. We're going to be putting 2 single crochets into the chain 2 spaces, 3 single crochet into that corner cluster. And like I said, you can mark that if you'd like, just to help give you your visuals between your corners. And then we're going to be putting 1 single crochet into each cluster going around other than that corner cluster. Alrighty, so nice simple round. These are considered increases here. Go ahead and slip stitch to your first single crochet when you get around to this side. You're going to want to make sure you've got 174 single crochets before you cut off your red. All right, I am ready to move on to round 20. I slip stitch to my first single crochet. Keep your work to the right side facing you, and I'm going to use this as just one of the reasons why this is good to mark these corners is because we are going to be using this as our visual reference to set up the next row. We're going to be working with white. Now, join to the first single crochet to the right of the corner 3 single crochets. So this is the center. This is the last of the 3. So we're going to go 1 more stitch over, and we're going to join with a chain 4. So do a chain 4 in that first stitch. Going to remove this now, and I'm going to keep it off of here for a little while again. Now we are going to treble crochet into the next stitch. So right away. So this would be the first single crochet of that corner 3. So in the center single crochet of that corner 3, we're going to put 3 treble crochets all in one stitch. So 1, 2, 3. All right, that sets up our corner again. And our corners are going to be undeniable on this row, so you don't have to mark it if you don't want to. All right, and we're going to treble into the next 2 singles. So we'll be putting one in the last single crochet of the 3 and into the next one over. So it's like a matching set on both sides of that. Okay, now we're going to start working our treble crochet X stitches over the next 3 single crochets, a total of 8 times going across. So no spaces, we're not skipping anything on this row other than the ones in between. All right, do a total of 8 of those, and I'll meet you back up over here before we get to the corner. Okay, I have my 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's going to actually put us in perfect condition, perfect spot to do the next corner exactly like we did the other one. So we're going to treble, not skipping any stitches, right into the next 2. That takes us up to that center stitch in the corner. We're going to put 3 in there. All right, and then we're going to finish that corner off with 2 treble crochets, one right after the other. Okay. So like I said, our corners are going to be fairly undeniable on this round because of the stitches that, you know, set them off. So you don't have to mark them if you don't want to. It's completely up to you. But continue on with doing 8 X stitches all the way across, and 2 trebles, 3 trebles, 2 trebles in that corner. All right, go ahead and slip stitch to the top of the chain 4, which works as a treble crochet in this round when you get over here, and you can cut off, but make sure that you've got 42 treble crochets, these guys by themselves, and 48 of the treble crochet X stitches. All right, we are moving on to round 20 after finishing up the treble crochet X side. And now it says with right side facing and brown, we're going to join with a chain 3 into the first treble crochet X on the side. So when we're looking at the side, it's going to be this guy over here, go into that chain 1 space and do a beginning cluster. Remember, that's going to be a chain 3, 2, 3, and then do the 2 half double, not half double crochets, but half of a double crochet twice, and then you'll have 3 on your hook, pull through all 3, and chain 2. So we're going to do the chain 2, 3 double crochet cluster in the chain 1 space 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. When you get over here, I'll be back. All right, I finished with my 7th 3 double crochet cluster, and I just went through all 4 of the loops. I haven't done anything else. So following the instructions, it says to chain 2, skip the next treble crochet, 3 double crochet cluster in the next. Okay, and now we're going to chain 3 and skip the next treble crochet. We're going to do that a total of 2 times, so let's do that again. 3 double crochet, cluster in the next treble, chain 3, and skip the next treble. So in this one, we're going to place 1 more 3 double crochet cluster and chain 2. Excuse me. We will now begin with 3 double crochet clusters in our chain 1 spaces again. All right, from here, you're going to repeat from the single star 4 times, which means this chain 2 and into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, skip 1, 3 double crochet cluster, skip 1, chain 3, 3 double crochet, skip 1, chain 3, 3 double crochet cluster, chain 2. This is your repeat right here from the chain 2 that we're starting right here to this stitch over here. So you're going to do that a total of 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we will repeat the single star to the double star 1 time. All right, and then you'll connect to the first or the beginning 3 double crochet cluster. Once we get over to this last repeat over here, I will be with you again. All right, round 21 is done. I'm ready to slip stitch to my first cluster. Before you move on though, make sure that you are you have 66 clusters going all the way around. And then I want you to take red, and if you're ready to move on to round 22, this is the very last round of week 2 of the reindeer. If you haven't already looked at it, you should have little kind of abstract reindeer faces. Here are their horns, here's their little reindeer face, and here's all their little red noses. So we're going to finish up with that second row of red noses with right side facing us and red, joined with a chain 1 in the center cluster of the corner. It doesn't matter what corner, any corner. So I'm going to start here and with a chain 1. It says 3 single crochet in the center corner, and 3 single crochet in the chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now the repeat across is going to be to single crochet 1 in the cluster and 2 around the chain 2. I'm trying to catch all my loose ends in the back up in my work so that I have less to weave in the end. I have a lot to do, but I can get that cleaned up before I start week 3. All right, but the more that I can catch up behind my work, it feels like the less I have to do. I'm gonna drop that for now. All right, just keep on doing this all the way across. Now when you get up over here onto your next corner, the chain 3s that we did before the center cluster, you're going to put 3 single crochets around the chain 3s, 3 into the corner cluster, and then 3 on the chain 3 again. Otherwise, every other cluster is going to get 1 and every chain 2 is going to get 2. All right. I will meet you back up over here. Make sure though, before you cut your red off, you've got 222 single crochets going around. I also did forget to mention that this would be a good row for you to start adding your corner markers back on. I'm just going to say to throw 1 in there for right now, just to mark that center single crochet. But make sure it's from the 3 in the cluster and not from one of the 3 in the chain 3 spaces. All right, keep going, and then I'll meet you over here. All right, I'm at the end of round 22. I'm going to slip stitch to the first single crochet of that round. I'm gonna go ahead and cut off. We are done for week 2. Go ahead and make sure that you've got stitch markers in each of your corners and that you've got 222 single crochets going all the way around. Can't wait to work with you next week. We're going to be doing I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. So if you, it doesn't matter what color you work with as your background and what color you work with as your hippos. I'm going to be using a gray background with green hippos just so that mine show up the way that they do on the original, but you can do anything that you want. All right, this is a great space to use your originality and your make it very personal for you. All right, so I will see you in week 3.